everyone. This is Reshma and welcome to my channel. I'm really glad that you're here. Some of you who've known me for a really long time are probably wondering what I'm doing. Well, over the last few years, I have had the privilege to travel to many different countries around the world. And so I was thinking that I would love to reflect on the travels, the lessons, the learnings, the cultures of the countries that I've been to. And so really glad to share with you in the future all my reflections on travel and hopefully some really great travel stories for the future. I also have been writing a travel blog for many years. It's thekenzolife.wordpress, or is it thekenzolife.blog? Check down for the right link. And so this is just the video version of that. And as I reflect on travel over the last couple of years, one of the things that I reflect on and particularly comes to my mind is my identity and the privilege of travel. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. For those of you who don't know me, my full name is Reshma Khan Muhammad Aziz Khan. There's a lot of Khans in there, I know. I think when I was born, my dad was excited and actually put an extra Khan in. I am Kenyan of, I would say, typically Indian origin, which is true. But actually, my dad's family originates from Balochistan, which is a mountainous, arid area between Pakistan, Iran, and some parts of Afghanistan, and came through India into Kenya a couple of hundred years ago, a couple of generations ago. And my mom's family is from Kutch in India. So I have a Muslim name. I am Muslim. I'm Shia Imami Ismaili Muslim, and that means I am a follower of His Highness the Aga Khan. I was born in Kenya. I studied abroad in Canada and came back, and I've been Kenyan all my life. So I'm Kenyan of Indian origin, although apart from the Indian, there's so many other layers of identity there. I've been very lucky over the past couple of years to be able to travel to see many parts of Africa, of Asia, Europe, and North America because primarily of my work, but also because I got the chance to visit people and visit friends. But it's not always been easy. And I'm really glad that we can start to talk about issues today around privilege, identity, and the privilege of travel is one particularly that I think we all need to recognize. So as a Kenyan, I hold a Kenyan passport, which is currently ranked 64th most powerful passport in the world. It does mean there's some countries that I actually can land at and get a visa on arrival or not even need a visa for many parts of Africa, for example. But it does mean that there are more than those countries in which I would need to have applied for a visa to actually visit. These include North America, Europe, some parts of Asia, some parts of the Middle East, and elsewhere, and even some countries in Southern Africa and Northern Africa. So I've been lucky. I've been able to travel to countries that some other Kenyans may never get the chance to, and I want to acknowledge that to travel is a privilege and that must not be taken for granted. There are other people in other parts of the world who either come from conflict zones or places where passports are not as strong that may not be able to get into certain countries. And so I want to acknowledge that to travel is a privilege, and as travelers, as those who tell the stories of our travel, it is upon us to really be aware and cognizant of that, and also be humble about the way we show up when we travel, because it is a privilege that others may not get. But this is not to say that I have not seen the other side of the lack of privilege of travel. What does that mean? I want to share two stories. So the first is I'm Kenyan of Indian origin, but I do have a lighter skin tone. In many countries, even though I may have the same Kenyan passport as a colleague who is darker skin-toned as me, I have been given preferential treatment. I remember particularly in a country in Southeast Asia where a colleague and I had actually traveled for work, and she was darker skinned than me, Kenyan as well. And they asked her so many more questions about why she was there, who she was with, what was her plan, was she planning to stay there. Same thing happened in Europe with another colleague. And in this southern Asian country, they actually started staring at her everywhere we went. And so as I reflect, it's really important to step back and think, even as a Kenyan, even as an African, my ethnicity, my race, stands up differently for me, and I need to be cognizant and empathetic of that, but also show up as an ally. So in both those instances, I showed up as an ally. There are other countries in the world where it's not necessarily my skin tone, or not yet. I haven't had a place where, because of my skin tone, I've been necessarily treated differently. But because of my name, because of my Muslim name, or because of the fact that I have a Kenyan passport, but more because of my Muslim name, in certain countries in Europe and North America, I have been randomly searched. In other countries, for example, a couple of years ago, I had to travel to India for work, and I had to go through a rigorous second review process, just where I was asked if I had any relatives in Pakistan. I don't. My entire family has always been here in Kenya, my immediate family. And so there have been countries in the world where I have been questioned about my motives, questioned about my name, questioned about why I'm there. And so that's also a lack of privilege. So that's really what's on my mind today. And I guess my take-home message to everyone is recognize your privilege as a traveler, particularly if you fall into a category that is more preferentially treated in many parts of the world, either because of your skin tone or your color or your name, or perhaps even what your name says and what that may show up for as your religion or faith base. Recognize and be a supporter to those who may not have those preferential treatments and privileges. But also, as a traveler who has that privilege, go in with humility, and a traveler that, even though you may be the outside box, still gets into some countries, just go in with humility and seek to teach people about you, as I've often done. One of the things I hear often is, even from fellow Africans, how can you call yourself African? You're not black. But I've grown up in Kenya. I speak Swahili. Yes, my ethnic group here has had a very convoluted history in Kenya. But that doesn't mean that I'm not from the continent and that I'm not grown up here. Like, I don't really resonate with other parts of the world where my ancestors may have come from. That's it for today. Thank you so much. Feel free to subscribe at the bottom if you like what you hear from me. And I look forward to sharing other stories of travel with you. And before I leave, I want to share this really cool painting. So my parents are both passed, but my dad used to love art and collected this. And a few months ago, I asked my sister back for this piece, and we think it's probably 40 years old, and it's actually from the Philippines. So those who know the Philippines, a friend told me it's Tacloban Bay that probably looks very different from now than it was then, and it's by an indigenous artist called Zablan. Some of the best ways to cherish the memories of travel and to remember where we were and to memorialize all those beauties of the things we've seen are art. And so art pieces for me, particularly of scenery, of people, of places that I've been to, help me remember that there were places I went to in this world that were so beautiful and that teach me so much. So yeah, that's my story, and we'll see you soon. Thank you for tuning in.